Hey there, this is Matt with State of Flux here with a review for Vulgar. This is a continuation of my exploration of the View Askewniverse and the films produced by Kevin Smith. This one is produced by Kevin Smith, but written and directed by Brian Johnson, one of Smith's friends and the prototype of the Randall character. This film is interesting in that it was originally conceived of by Brian Johnson, and Smith had intention to write and direct, and once pre-production kind of delayed on Dogma, he decided to pass the reins on to Brian Johnson. The story, the genesis of this idea came about from that opening little animation from Clerks, having the cross-dressing clown. What's the story behind that? And so they were spitballing ideas, concocted this story, and what they concocted was Vulgar. The film is a weird one in that it is not critically well liked at all. However, I think this is a pretty solid movie. However, I want to know what kind of nihilistic swill was going around Jersey to produce a film like this, and to some extent Clerks and A Better Place. Like, these movies are all incredibly, deeply nihilistic. Clerks a lot less so, but still falls under the same umbrella. These are nihilistic, dark-leaning films, especially with Clerks' original ending wherein Dante gets shot to death at the climax of the film. All of these kind of share a same common ground, and I don't know if it's just the three dudes that worked at the Quick Stop that have this dark mindset, but that's kind of neither here nor there. I do think this film, it's not as quite a good film as A Better Place is. It's not as well executed. I think that Vincent Pereira is a better director than Brian Johnson is. However, I do like the story and the constraints that this story has upon it when it's sort of trying to rein itself in. When it goes big and gets just super nihilistic, it kind of loses me a little bit. But oddly enough, that stuff comes before the big moment in this film. The big moment in this film is handled relatively artfully, so let's just get into the plot of this film. This film is about a man who is a career clown, Slappy the Clown, Flappy the Clown. Slappy is, I think, the little killer dummy from Goosebumps. Flappy the Clown. And he is having a hard time finding or keeping work. And that's when he gets this fun idea of, what if he dressed up in women's clothes and did bachelor parties, and showed up, and it's like, oh, such a big funny gag. Somebody's expecting a stripper, they get a stripping clown. And he changes his name to Vulgar for this. But on his first visit, he gets jumped by the three people he's supposed to be hosting a bachelor party for, and gets violated. And trigger warnings abound. This film has pretty much all of them you can think of. After he is violated, he's contemplative of suicide. He doesn't know how to carry on, and so he does the only thing he knows how to do, and that's be Flappy the Clown, just be the kid's clown. And so the next house he goes to, he ends up intervening in this big attack where the father is holding the kid hostage at gunpoint. He breaks into the back of the house and knocks that guy out. And he becomes known as Flappy the Hero Clown. Well, a studio executive hears about Flappy the struggling hero clown and decides to give him his own show, the next big Barney for the media to consume. And so Flappy is suddenly thrust into meteoric success, but the three people who had gang raped him a year prior have reach out to him and say that they have a videotape and they want him back again with $50,000 and assurances that they're going to get the money in exchange for this tape. And so he is struck with a dilemma. Does he get outed publicly by this humiliating process of what he did in the seedy backside of Jersey, or does he take vigilante justice against the people who took basically the innocence of his life away from him? And that's where this film is. It turns into a sort of throwback to 70s revenge dramas a la Death Wish. However, it does so much more artfully than those films are, and I think that the culmination of this film, especially the final 15 minutes or so, are fantastic and end in a really positive light. I will also say that at no point does the film stop and say, ew, you had sex with 3 guys, and make it a gross thing that he was violated by men, and that's the gross part of it. They treat the rape as the gross aspect of it. They treat it rather humanely in how inhumane of a process that was, but they never throw around derogatory slurs towards the rapists or the victim in that sense. And for a movie that came out in 2000, that's kind of saying something, and something that I have condemned with the homophobia in some of Kevin Smith's other films. The lack of homophobia in this is kind of surprising, pleasantly so. However, it's one of the very few pleasant experiences of this film. This is a dark, it is a dirty film. It is designed to fill you kind of with rage and inspire you to want to see vigilante justice done, but also recognizes how doing vigilante justice can be just as destructive of a process to the human psyche. It's a much better film than any critical analysis has seemed to have given it credit for. It is a good movie that's just so ugly and so hard to watch, not unlike something like Last House on the Left, and in fact I think the two films could be solid sister films, where it's so disturbing and gut-punching that you never really ever want to watch it again. However, there's aspects of it that are quite good. The performance of Brian O'Halloran, Dante from the Clerks films, in this is spectacular. This is, for my money, his best performance. He really gives Vulgar 100% of his acting capabilities. And I felt like he was good. He's well cast as Dante. He's perfectly cast as Dante, but he's not the shining star of Clerks or Clerks 2. That certainly is Jeff Anderson. This film is his shining star moment. However, by nature of what this film is, probably didn't really get seen or would have ever been able to be seen in any traditional theatrical kind of release. So therefore you're left to people who seek this out, and they're already probably fans, so this probably didn't do much for his career, which is a shame. He gives a great performance. The other person who gives insanely good performance in this is Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith plays the executive who fishes out and seeks out Flappy the Clown to bring him to success. He just plays a studio pitchman, basically. He's completely clean-shaven, looking all young and spiffy, and he's great. He has exceptionally good screen presence, and it makes you wonder why he didn't go further into his acting career. His performances that he has given in films like Catch and Release, Live Free or Die Hard, those are the performances that often get talked about, and this one should be alongside them. And looking at those three performances and his work on Degrassi, of all things, kind of makes you wonder why he didn't act. He has the chops, but maybe he just prefers it more behind the camera. However, the amount of this dude is out and about just talking in front of cameras, I feel like that's less the case. I think it's a lack of confidence thing. But he's great in the movie. Brian Johnson is the secondary lead, and I feel like he's good in the movie, but you could tell that he probably just was overworked. Being director, being writer, and being star, I feel like his screenplay was pretty tightly written. It's written well enough anyway. The directing job, he does a, by and large, good job with the direction under its limited budget. And his performance is good, but you can see that the strain was there. However, this is probably his best performance, and it's weird to think that the guy who was in Comic Book Men, is the guy behind the camera here, because it's wild. This film is filled with other cameos from other Kevin Smith mainstays, DP Dave Klein, Walt Flanagan, Jason Mewes. They all show up for a scene or so, and there's other references to other View Askew people. Ethan Suplee is in this film as well. But this is a good movie. I give it a 3 out of 4 stars. However, will I watch this again? Certainly not anytime soon. This is every once in a while. There's just so much nihilism in the film, it's hard to take. And I thought that it was hard to watch A Better Place. This one just goes far beyond what that film did. These are two just ugly features. Not in terms of how they look, they're shot well. It's just in terms of storytelling, they are just ugly and put you in a bitter experience and make you kind of live it the entire runtime. Anyway, next week I'm going to move on to a hopefully much lighter film with Jeff Anderson's writing and directing feature debut in Now You Know, the sort of penultimate Kevin Smith producerial features that I'll explore, and then I'm going to move on to Masters of the Universe before moving on to Clerks 3. This is all countdown to Clerks 3, and we're approaching, fellas. So stay tuned next week for Now You Know. Thanks for watching. Peace.